Losing a spouse is not just a heartbreaking loss. It's a life-shattering experience that flips your world upside down. The person you built decades of memories with is suddenly not there. You wake up to silence. Meals feel empty. Even simple routines like a morning walk feel like walking through fog. But what makes this painful journey even harder is a set of invisible traps that await in those first months. These traps seem harmless, even necessary. But in reality, they quietly deepen your grief and complicate your healing. In this first section, we'll talk about the 3 traps most people fall into right after losing their spouse. Traps that can turn temporary pain into lifelong regret. One of the first pitfalls people encounter is rushing into big financial decisions too soon. There's something about paperwork and decisions that makes people feel like they're getting things done. But the harsh truth is, grief creates a clouded mind. You're not thinking clearly. You're operating on survival mode. Yet, in this state, people end up making irreversible choices, selling homes, liquidating investments, or even giving away assets too quickly. Picture this. You're 70, you've just buried your spouse, and everyone around you is saying, you should sell the house. It's too big for you now. That's exactly what happened to Margaret. Within 4 months, she sold her family home and moved. Everyone told her it was practical, less maintenance, lower expenses. But after the dust settled, she felt like a stranger in her new environment. Familiar neighbors were gone, her routines disrupted, and instead of feeling lighter, she felt more alone than ever. Her regret wasn't just about the house. It was about realizing she made a life-altering decision in the depths of grief. The danger of rushed financial decisions doesn't stop there. Scammers target the newly widowed more than anyone else. There are people out there who smell vulnerability like sharks smell blood in water. They come disguised as helpful financial advisors, long-lost relatives, or friendly neighbors. They pressure you into signing papers, making investments, or even gifting money because life is short or you need to take care of your family now. This is a trap. Making choices to get rid of the uncomfortable feelings rather than thinking about your own long-term future. Another powerful emotional hook is the 1-year rule. Experts recommend waiting at least 12 months before making any irreversible financial decision. This rule exists because your brain needs time to adjust after a shock this big. Time reveals truths you can't see in a fog of fresh grief. What feels like a necessary step today may look like a huge mistake a year from now. Your future deserves patience. Financial stability should not be sacrificed at the altar of temporary relief. The second trap is isolating yourself from those who care. It's so easy to slip into silence. You don't answer phone calls because you don't want to hear, "How are you doing?" You skip family dinners because it's too painful seeing couples together. Slowly, you disappear. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and you find yourself alone in a house full of memories, with no energy to get out. Loneliness begins to swallow you whole. This isolation is dangerous because it feels deceptively safe. You tell yourself you need this time, but the longer you stay withdrawn, the harder it becomes to come back. Walter, a 78-year-old retiree, experienced this firsthand. After losing his wife of 52 years, he disconnected from everyone. His phone collected dust. The mailbox overflowed. His world shrunk to 4 walls and a television. Only after months of depression did he accept a coffee invite from a neighbor. That simple moment reminded him of something powerful. Being around people doesn't erase grief, but it does ease the burden. It allows light to seep through the cracks. The emotional trap here is believing no one understands your grief. While it's true no one can fully grasp your unique loss, human connection doesn't rely on perfect understanding. It relies on presence. Support groups, casual conversations, or even short walks with a neighbor are lifelines. They don't cure grief, but they help you survive it. The third early mistake many people make is ignoring their own health. Self-care feels selfish when you're grieving. Cooking feels pointless. Exercise feels like a waste. Doctor appointments feel like too much effort. And you tell yourself, what's the point without them here? But this neglect doesn't just affect your mood. It chips away at your physical strength. Studies show widowed individuals face higher risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, weakened immunity, and even early death. Not because of age, but because of neglect. Grief is an emotional wound, but it bleeds into your body. James, after losing his wife, lived on snacks and microwave meals. Within months, his energy plummeted, sleep became erratic, and even his memory suffered. It wasn't until his daughter intervened and helped him establish simple healthy habits that his body began to regain strength. In these early months, you may not have the strength for major health overhauls, but the smallest steps can save your life. Eating nourishing food, staying hydrated, walking a few minutes each day, and keeping your doctor's appointments. These are the silent battles that protect your future. Because healing isn't just about emotional survival, it's about physical survival too. So as you navigate these first waves of crushing grief, remember, don't make rushed financial decisions. Don't wall yourself off from those who care, and don't abandon your health. These are your shields against regret. Grief will still hurt. You'll still cry. You'll still miss them every day. But by avoiding these hidden traps, you'll give yourself the gift of an easier path through the storm. A future where your heart can hurt, but your life remains stable, supported, and strong. In the months following the loss of a spouse, life takes on a strange, unfamiliar rhythm. The routines that once felt natural are suddenly replaced by long stretches of emptiness. Evenings feel longer. Mornings are quieter. Every meal feels lonelier. It's in these quiet, aching moments that a new set of dangers begins to surface. Ones that come disguised as comfort, companionship, and even kindness. This part of the journey is often more complicated than people expect, because it's when you are most vulnerable to making choices that don't align with your true well-being. In this section, we'll explore two more major pitfalls: the rush into new relationships and the heavy burden of holding on to every single belonging. Both mistakes have something in common. They are responses to loneliness, but they can quietly pull you deeper into grief if not handled with care. One of the most misunderstood parts of grief is the complex relationship with loneliness. Human beings aren't meant to be completely alone, especially after decades of shared companionship. The silence in the house can feel unbearable. The empty side of the bed becomes a constant reminder of loss. It's no surprise that many widows and widowers begin to crave companionship quickly after losing their spouse. That's not a flaw, it's human nature. But here's where the trap lies. Loneliness can push you into relationships before you're emotionally ready, creating a host of new problems at a time when you're least able to handle them. Many people think they'll just go out for coffee or just have someone to talk to. But these small steps can quickly spiral into serious commitments. Take Barbara, for example. At 72, just a few months after her husband passed, she began seeing someone she met through a friend. At first, it felt wonderful, having someone dine with, laugh with, and share the quiet moments with. But soon, Barbara noticed something unsettling. She wasn't truly connecting. She was distracting herself. She wasn't building something new. She was trying to escape the deep loneliness that kept her awake at night. This is a story many people over 60 can relate to. Grief creates an empty space, and we instinctively want to fill it. But relationships built from loneliness often lead to new heartbreaks. They are rushed, emotionally confusing, and in many cases unbalanced. The grieving partner may feel dependent on the new person to regulate their emotions, which is not a healthy foundation for companionship. Eventually, this can lead to feelings of guilt, regret, or even resentment. Another hidden danger is being more susceptible to manipulation. Scammers and opportunists know that the newly widowed are emotionally fragile. They target them both in person and online, pretending to offer comfort while having hidden agendas, usually financial. Sadly, there are countless cases where older adults were manipulated into giving away money, property, or legal control because they were too eager to trust someone new. The scam doesn't always look obvious. It often starts with attention, kindness, and a sympathetic ear. Even in legitimate relationships, rushing can lead to long-term challenges. People may move in together too quickly, combine finances without proper planning, or emotionally commit before they've truly processed their loss. These quick decisions can cause painful entanglements, especially when families disapprove, legal matters get complicated, or the grieving partner realizes they're not emotionally prepared. So, what's the healthy alternative? The key is understanding the difference between needing companionship and seeking distraction. It's completely normal to crave interaction after loss, but the healthiest relationships romantic or otherwise. Begin after you've had enough time to understand your own heart again. This usually means waiting until you've gone through several seasons of grief, allowing yourself to experience birthdays, holidays, and milestones before deciding to open your heart again. Healing relationships are built on shared joy, not shared sorrow. When you eventually do connect with someone new, it should come from a place of peace rather than panic. Don't be afraid to take things slow. Give yourself permission to enjoy friendships without pressure to make them romantic. Talk to trusted family or friends about your feelings. If the person you're seeing is healthy for you, they will understand and respect your need for time and clarity. The other profound mistake many people make during this chapter is clinging too tightly to every belonging. It's one of the most heartbreaking realities of grief. How do you live in a house that is filled with the presence of someone who is no longer there? Every chair, every piece of clothing, every photograph carries weight. For many, the idea of giving away anything feels like a betrayal of the person they lost. They hold on to everything, thinking that to let go is to forget. But the truth is, holding on to every possession can quietly become a barrier to healing. There's a difference between honoring your loved one and trapping yourself in a time capsule of grief. Over time, a home filled with untouched belongings can feel less like a comfort and more like a burden. It becomes harder to create new routines, to find joy in your space, and to rediscover who you are without the constant reminder of what was lost. Harold experienced this firsthand. At 76, after losing his wife for 55 years, he left everything in its place. Her shoes stayed by the door, her favorite chair remained untouched, and the house felt frozen in time. At first, it provided comfort. It felt like she was still there. But as the months dragged on, the house began to feel suffocating. He realized he was afraid to move forward because every corner of his home forced him to relive the loss daily. Slowly, with the help of his children, Harold began to make small changes. He didn't throw everything out. He kept the special keepsakes, her wedding ring, some letters, favorite photos, but allowed himself to let go of things that no longer served a purpose. Here's the emotional hook. Letting go of objects doesn't mean letting go of love. It means creating space in your home and your heart for healing. Every item doesn't carry their essence. The love you shared isn't contained in material things. It lives within you, in your memories, in your actions, and in the life you continue to build. It's also important to recognize that grief counselors recommend not making major home changes immediately, but also not letting your home become a shrine. The healthiest balance comes from slowly, thoughtfully making decisions about what to keep, what to repurpose, and what to release. You might choose to create a small memorial corner with photos and keepsakes. You might pass down sentimental belongings to children or grandchildren. You might even transform clothing into quilts or keepsakes, allowing the memory to live on in a way that brings warmth rather than sorrow. Another dangerous tendency is allowing others to pressure you into clearing things out before you're ready. Well-meaning relatives may tell you it's time to move on or clean house, but this decision belongs to you and only you. Grief doesn't follow a schedule. You are allowed to take your time, but you should also be aware when keeping everything is no longer about love, but about fear. The fear of forgetting, the fear of being alone, or the fear of stepping into a life you didn't choose. When people strike this healthy balance, keeping what matters most and releasing what weighs them down, they often report feeling lighter, freer, and more at peace. They can begin to reclaim their home as a place of comfort instead of sadness. They find it easier to create new routines, invite people over, or simply enjoy the quiet moments without feeling suffocated by memories. This stage of grief is about learning that moving forward is not abandoning your spouse. It's honoring them by continuing to live well. It's realizing that your happiness doesn't betray them, that taking care of your heart, your space, and your future is part of keeping their memory alive in a healthy, life-affirming way. As you walk through this complicated phase of grieving, you'll be tempted to fill the void quickly, whether through people, possessions, or distractions. But the quiet truth is this: the healthiest healing comes from sitting with your grief, understanding it, and slowly rebuilding your life with patience and intention. There's no need to rush, no need to force change, and no need to chase new happiness while your heart is still tender. Allow yourself to breathe through the loneliness without making decisions that will cause new regrets. Hold on to the beautiful memories, Let go of the unnecessary weight. And when the time comes to welcome companionship, make sure it comes from a place of readiness, not desperation. You have survived one of life's greatest losses. Now, protect your heart as you step gently into the next chapter. When you lose a spouse, the weight of grief doesn't just affect your emotions. It seeps into your body, your mind, and your outlook on life. Many people underestimate just how much this type of loss can influence their daily habits, their self-worth, and even their long-term health. As the weeks turn into months, one of the most common yet silent mistakes widows and widowers make is neglecting themselves, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. In this final section, we will discuss how easy it is to fall into unhealthy patterns after loss, the hidden dangers of self-neglect, and how to protect your well-being to reclaim strength, hope, and peace for the road ahead. The first and most overlooked danger is how grief directly impacts your physical health. Research shows that losing a spouse significantly increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and even early death. The body and mind are deeply connected, and the shock of loss triggers a level of stress that can quietly attack your health in ways you may not even realize. The body releases more cortisol, the stress hormone, leading to higher blood pressure, weight fluctuations, and weakened immunity. Without meaning to, people begin skipping meals, losing sleep, ignoring exercise, and delaying medical care because, in their mind, it just doesn't seem to matter anymore. Take James, for example. After losing his wife of 53 years, simple tasks like preparing meals or going to the doctor felt overwhelming. He started eating processed snacks, drinking less water, and letting go of routines he and his wife used to follow together. At first, it felt like a normal part of grief, but soon his health began to deteriorate. He was losing weight, feeling weak, and constantly exhausted. His blood pressure rose, and minor illnesses lingered longer than usual. It wasn't until his daughter intervened and insisted he get back to small, healthy habits that his strength began to return. James realized something profound. His wife would have wanted him to take care of himself, not fade away. This is an emotional trap many people fall into, believing that focusing on their well-being somehow disrespects their loss or makes their grief seem smaller. But here's the truth. Taking care of yourself after losing your spouse is one of the greatest ways to honor their memory. You loved them, and they loved you. They would have wanted you to continue living fully, not just surviving, but thriving. Start with the basics. Even when your appetite is gone, your energy is low, or your motivation is missing, small actions can save your life. Eating nourishing meals, drinking enough water, taking a short daily walk, and getting at least 7 hours of sleep are not luxuries. They are survival tools. And the more you do them, the easier they become. Your body will thank you. Your mood will begin to stabilize. Your strength will slowly rebuild. Another hidden risk of self-neglect comes from avoiding regular medical care. Many widows and widowers skip appointments, delay prescriptions, or ignore symptoms because they simply don't have the energy to deal with it. But this is when your health needs more attention, not less. Annual checkups, monitoring existing health conditions, and being proactive about any new issues are critical to preventing minor problems from turning into major crises. Grief already weighs you down. Don't let poor health make it even heavier. Your mental health is equally important. The emotional toll of losing a life partner can lead to depression, anxiety, and deep feelings of hopelessness. You may find yourself withdrawing further, losing interest in things you once enjoyed, or feeling like you have no purpose. These feelings are not weaknesses. They are common, but they need to be addressed. Depression in older adults is often overlooked because people assume it's normal after loss. But untreated depression can quietly rob you of years of peace and happiness you could still enjoy. The healing journey requires intentional effort. Counseling can be life-changing, whether through individual therapy or grief support groups. Talking to someone who understands loss can lighten your burden. You don't have to carry it alone. Support groups can connect you with people who are walking similar paths, offering companionship that doesn't require you to explain your pain because everyone in the room already knows it. Sometimes, even the simple act of being heard can ease some of the weight off your shoulders. Movement is another critical factor. You don't need intense workouts, but daily movement, whether to walk around the block, light stretching, or gentle exercises, helps release tension, improve circulation, and lift your mood. Physical activity triggers endorphins, your body's natural mood boosters, making it easier to navigate grief without slipping into deeper despair. Another often ignored aspect of self-care is reconnecting with life's small joys. After loss, it's common to feel guilty about smiling, laughing, or enjoying anything at all. You might catch yourself thinking, how can I be happy when they are gone? But happiness doesn't erase your love, and joy doesn't diminish your grief. You are allowed to experience moments of peace, to smile again, and to find beauty in life's little pleasures.